Hello, Diamond Eagles. Hopefully, everybody on the call can hear me okay. I'm just going to put it on interactive, ask for a couple people here if they can hear me. I see Mr. Mayers. Are you on the call tonight?
I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. And is Derek with you tonight?
He is. Yep, we're all ready.
Oh, very good. All right. Well, then we'll get this call rolling. Appreciate everybody being on the call. Obviously, welcome Diamond Eagles from all around the world who are listening in. For all of you on the call, and it's your first time, for those people who just joined our team, I'm David Niles, and a big congratulations and welcome. We are proud to have you aboard. These weekly calls are specifically skill-based to help you grow your organic gold business to reach your goals. So everybody that has a pen, make sure you got a backup pen, there's enough ink in your pen, because I want you to do some writing tonight. I want you to, first of all, write this down. Am I a poser, an amateur, or a professional? So write that down. Am I a poser, an amateur, or a professional? And underneath that, I want you all to draw a small circle, about 2 inches around, and a small circle just around that. Now, we're going to come back to that. But this week is skill number 1. Brianne and I are doing a 7-week series, and this week is finding prospects. But just before we continue, those of you who joined our business or possibly missed the call last week, I want to do a little recap. Last week we did goal setting, and specifically the 5-step formula and the tools, Getting Started 101, which is accessible through our website, ogdiamondeagles.com. And that was the foundation that you're going to use for these skills to build on top of. And I just want to emphasize that goal setting truly is the solid foundation to build on these skills that we're going to train. And to illustrate my point, for everybody in Calgary, because I know we got a bunch of people listening in from the Calgary team, for everybody that hasn't been to Calgary, in Calgary, Canada, there's a tower almost above every tower there. You look, and it is in the skyline, and it stands about 626 feet high. That's what they call the Calgary Tower. For those of you who are like me who can't really visualize what 626 feet is like, you can take me, I'm 6 feet, and stack me 600 times on top of myself, or better yet, if you put 2 football fields, stack one on top of each other, and add 26 more feet. That's how tall the Calgary Tower is. The Calgary Tower is 13,000 tons. And get this, 7,000 tons are actually underground. That's more than half. That is the foundation that can build up to 626 feet. Now, hopefully that allowed you to visualize in your mind how tall that is and what you need to build on, which is a foundation. My point is, when you have a solid foundation to build, the odds are dramatically increased that you will reach your goals. The foundation for these skills is having honesty, character, loyalty, trust, and really, as David Emenike says, a true heart for people. And pulling that all in together and creating your why and the rest of the 4 steps in the 5-step formula in goal setting is really that foundation to build on top so that we can now utilize these skills. Instead of building your house on sand, you're really building your house on rock. So we'll jump right in. Skill number 1, finding prospects. And in our business, finding prospects really breaks into 2 categories: building a list and sampling. In OrganiGold, we have double the opportunity because of the sampling piece. But right now I'm going to go through building a list. Firstly, what does building a list mean? Well, professionals know that it comes down to building a network. Robert Kiyosaki, some of you may have heard of him, wrote the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And he says the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else is just looking for work. And I think what a better statement to introduce the skill of finding prospects and really creating your list, understanding what your list really is. To some of you on the line, making a list means, you mean I want to call everyone and sell to all my family and friends? And to you, I say you're just not getting it. You're still not getting it. Today I'm here to ask you to change the way you are thinking about what your list really is and really take a crack at the first time creating the list as a professional. The list, it's a connection list, if you will. It's building networks. It's building relationships, building trust. I think Holton Buggs, I heard him when I was in Malaysia say it best. Friendships build diamond ships. Friendships build diamond ships. And to have a friendship, you need to have a connection. You need to build that network to make that connection. Build relationships with someone and trust over time. So as I asked at the beginning of the call, for you to all write down, am I a poser, am I an amateur, or am I a professional? And most people, it probably doesn't surprise some people and probably shocks others, that most people in network marketing approach building their list as a poser. And posers are those people who make a mental list of 5 people. They hope to get lucky, and if no one joins their business, they say, this doesn't work, and they quit. Amateurs make a list of 100 people, then they go out with what you may have heard or referred to as ignorance on fire, which really means they're all full of passion and energy. They go out, but they have 0 skills. When they get to their list of people, they quickly realize they have no skills. They're getting their first no's, and they see what is happening as they're crossing people off that list, and their list is dwindling. There are less and less people on their list, and they're starting to stress out because they're running out. So an amateur sees it as, I'm going to run out of people. And what happens is they lose their fire, they lose their passion, and they fizzle out eventually. Now, the professional knows that building a list is the foundation of building a network, which again takes time to build relationships, takes time to build connections and trust with people. Professionals approach finding prospects, people to talk to connect with, not as I hope to get lucky or they're worried about running out of people. Professionals approach finding prospects as one of their core skills. And yes, it is a core skill, and any skill can be improved on. Professionals see it as an active candidate list, or as I like to say, your living list. One that is constantly added to and grows over time. A professional takes every person they meet. What if you were to do this? Take every person you meet, get their contact information, and find a creative way to just stay in touch with them. So in building your list, it breaks out into 4 steps. Step number 1, make your list as comprehensive as possible. Put pen to paper. And the rule is everyone who's everyone that you've ever met goes on this list. That means, yes, all the positive people, all the negative people, everyone, every group, every organization. It is extremely important to do the work necessary to capture your network currently on paper. And that's what you're trying to do. Capture your network today that you have on paper. And why on paper? That's easy. Because when you take them out of your brain and put them on paper, you leave room for your thoughts to find those other people that you hadn't thought about for a long time. Okay, step number 1, make your list as comprehensive as possible. Step number 2, now you have your list, take a look at your list. Think about not only people on the list, but now think about the people on the list that they know. So if you threw your cousin down, you start to think, oh, my cousin works at Boston Pizza. He knows Ray. Ray owns the local Boston Pizza. So step number 2, it's really that idea of 6 degrees of separation. If you've ever heard this, we're within 6 degrees. 6 people that you know everybody in the world eventually through network. So finding out who's on your list and then thinking who is on that they know, you probably are likely, you know them. Step number 3, constantly expanding your list. This is something that a professional approaches, understanding that they're building a network. Again, meet people, get their information, find a way to stay in touch. So constantly expanding your list. This is why it's called a living list. When you're out in your day-to-day and people you come in contact with, they go on your list. On social media, put them on your list. At the gym, you meet someone, add them to your list. You're constantly out there in your community expanding your list. And step number 4, network on purpose. You can't meet people if you're a hermit and you never leave your house. Get out there. Find places. Find organizations. I just recently joined Toastmasters. Find excuses to go and meet people. Professionals try to add 2 new people per day. Now think about that. Can you, in your day-to-day, just collect contact information from 2 people out of all the people you meet, just 2 people per day? You might think 2 people, that means nothing. Well, over 600 people per year. And if you were starting with a list of some people say, oh, I don't know anybody, that's okay. 2 people per day. In 5 years, you're going to have over 3,000 people in your network. So breaking out those steps, making your list as comprehensive as possible, taking a look, seeing who those people on your list know, constantly looking to expand your list, and networking on purpose, trying to add 2 people per day. Tonight, Diamond Eagles, the call to action that I want to give to you is take an hour. Start making your list, or putting pen to paper. Create your list. And the second piece of call to action tonight, for everybody that drew that circle on that piece of paper, go back to that circle. Right now, that circle is a 0. What I want you to do is I want you tomorrow, knowing that you're going to build a network, go out, be in contact with 2 people, and when you get home, you put a 2. And I want you to call this your personal circle of success, because you can make that 0 into a 2. And that is a call to action that you can consistently do over time that will create the results of building a network, building trust, and building relationships to build your business. Now, the second piece that we have in OrganoGold is sampling. And I'm going to hand the phone over to my beautiful bride, Brianne, who is a master at opening doors with people that she has never met before and consistently keeping networks of people. She's lived in many places, and she has on purpose kept in touch with many people and has a large network. So I hand the phone over to Miss Brianne Niles.
Good evening, Diamond Eagles. It is an absolute pleasure to be here tonight. I think it's so great that he still calls me his bride. I have about 6 weeks left as being his bride, and then I think I officially become a wife because we've been married for 1 year. So I'm going to enjoy that bride piece for a little bit longer. Amazing stuff from David talking about, prospecting, which is our skill of the week. And it really is the first skill that you need to master as you begin to build a network marketing business. And for some of you who've been in the business, maybe you're on this call and you have been in networking, this is your third, fourth, fifth company, or maybe it's your third, fourth, fifth, sixth year. Going back to prospecting, it's a key skill, and mastering it, there's still more to learn. There's more to grow with in that. So we're hoping to give you some more tonight to really come to understand it a little bit better and to support your teams with it a little bit better, because what we've learned is that this piece, making the list and deciding who is a prospect, is a challenge for most new distributors. So David had discussed how you make a list, and most companies in the network marketing arena will tell you to make a list. But what's incredibly exciting about OrganoGold is that we have a double bonus in that not only do we have a list to make, but we also can provide samples, which that's not always so easy. We've got a product that's convenient, small packaging, and affordable for us to be able to give away 2 sachets a day. If you've got an incredibly expensive product, it's very hard to sample and give it away for free because your overhead costs would just be too high. So incredibly blessed in OrganoGold, just another perk of being in the coffee market, is that we can sample our product. So how do you do it? How do you sample coffee? I was very blessed in that I got to learn from, in my opinion, the best sampler in all of OrganoGold, and her name is Vicki Hertz. If you want to watch someone sample in action, go for lunch with that amazing leader, because she samples like no other. And the true reason why Vicki Hertz is an incredible sampler is because she is so genuine in what she's doing, and she expects nothing from these people. And she truly believes that this coffee can change their lives, either on a health or a wealth basis. And they feel that from her. And that's what makes her a good sampler. So I'm going to go through how we sample tonight for the brand new people. But for those of you who are not quite brand new and have went through the basics and are struggling, I'm also going to talk about where you do this, how you do it, and how often you're doing it. So in OrganoGold, our amazing leadership of Bernie Chua, Holton Buzz, Shane Moran, they designed a system for us to be able to sample people quickly, conveniently, and in an effective way. They call it the 4 questions. So please write this down if you're brand new. You can also find it trained all over the internet from a number of different leaders, but knowing these 4 questions and having them in your back pocket are mandatory. So the first question is, when you meet someone, do you or anyone you know drink coffee or tea at least occasionally? Now, if you've been in this business for 6 months or a year, you're laughing because you've heard this sentence said so many times by Vicki Hertz, by Rhonda Martin, by Steve Martin, by every leader in OrganoGold. But I can almost bet that you're not saying it exactly as it's written. Do you or anyone you know drink coffee or tea at least occasionally? It's impossible to say no to that question. If you say, do you drink coffee? You know what? About 20% of people will say no. And when you get that solid no, you're shut down pretty quickly. So the question was worded specifically for your benefit. Do you or anyone you know drink coffee at least occasionally? The second question, how do you drink your coffee? Black or with cream and sugar? Okay. The third question, where do you usually get your coffee from? Are you a Starbucks lover? Do you go to Tim Hortons? Do you brew it at home? And the fourth question has blank, so maybe they said they buy their coffee from Starbucks. Has Starbucks ever paid you for drinking or referring their coffee? Okay. That fourth question, a lot of people are scared of it. I was scared of it, and that's okay. A lot of times people, they'll laugh at you because suddenly you've brought money into the equation. But the reality is you've planted a seed. You've planted a seed where they have to honestly ask themselves, well, no, Starbucks has not ever paid me for drinking or referring their coffee. So those 4 steps, 4 questions, are key. Write them down, study them. The training online for that is immense. And so I'm not going to go into any more detail of the role playing of that. What I want to move on to is a little bit further than that. I want to move on to the reality of doing that in public, because a lot of us, we go out with the best intentions and we have memorized those 4 lines and we find it a little bit more challenging than we expected. So where? My first question is, where are you doing this? I know a lot of new distributors get a great idea where they're going to go to a mall and they're going to walk around the mall for 3 hours and they're going to sample people like crazy. And I don't want to discourage you from doing that. I've done it myself, and it is a genius way to practice the 4 questions. The reason I say it's a genius way to practice is because that's literally what it's going to be, is practice. What David talked about in the first half of this call is building a network of people who know, like, and trust you. So going to a mall and meeting a stranger one time and pitching them a product immediately on the spot, you haven't established a relationship yet. This is why, again, Vicki Hertz is amazing, because when I watch her sample someone in a mall, it takes 5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes for her to do it. Why does it take so long? Because she establishes a relationship first. She does it very quickly, but she does it with a genuine heart. So the person doesn't feel like they're being pitched or sold something. I think we can all agree nobody wants to be sold anything. Okay? But if you have a relationship there, you're using their first name, you're calling them by their first name, and you've shown a genuine interest in them, it's going to go a lot further. So this is why when I talk about the where, my suggestion, and this is only my suggestion, is you get out in your community and find ways to sample where you can establish a stronger, I don't even want to call it a friendship, but a relationship base. So maybe you walk your dogs. Lately I found walking my dogs at the dog park is genius because I see the same people there day after day. They know the names of my pets. They know our routine. They know a little bit about me. So I've established some trust, which is a great ease-in to handing them a product. Get involved in your local church. Get involved in your local community center. Join a Toastmasters club, like David said. Join a networking group. Join a hiking club or a cross-country ski club, a sports team. These are all ways where you're going to meet people. But it's not just about meeting them. It's the how you do it. And my first question is, are you genuine in what you're doing? Do you believe when you are meeting people and handing them a sachet of latte or a sachet of black that you have a product that is going to benefit their lives on a health or a wealth basis? Do you believe that? Because they'll feel it if you believe that. If your intention is, I'm going to go to church every Sunday and meet a bunch of people so that I can sign them up into my coffee business and make a bunch of money, they're going to feel that too. So get yourself in a natural environment where you're being your best you, you're putting your best you forward, and people are taking the product with an open mind because they know who you are and they trust you. These are just some strategies that we have found to be most effective. Now, I'm not undermining sampling the waitress. I'm not undermining sampling the young man or woman who maybe pumps your gas, or the police officer who pulls you over for a ticket. Those are still great opportunities to sample. But when you're out in public and when you're getting pulled over or you're eating lunch, who are you arriving as? Are you calling them by their first name? Are you being polite? And are you spending a few minutes interested in who that person is so they feel a genuine connection to you and that caring and compassion? And that's why going to the mall at the beginning is a great idea, because sometimes it takes some practice just to get your words out and the flow of it going. So that's what I really want to focus on, is when David talks about the list, he talked about your list being a network of people you have a relationship with. So, for example, on my list of people I want to sample, take everyone off my Facebook. I think 780 some people on my Facebook, and I do personally know every single one of them. Some of them, though, I have not spoken to since high school. So for me to drop them a message and say, hi, how are you? That's great. I started a new business. Can I send you some samples? And they haven't heard from me in 10 years this year. I don't know that that's going to be that successful, because they can tell I'm only interested in speaking to them for my own motives. So the people on my list, and they're still on my list, I need to start reestablishing a relationship. So maybe dropping them a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I see you got married this year. Wish you all the best. Or congratulations on your growing family. This is really exciting for you. Or your new job. I've established a relationship that at least shows that I'm interested in who they are as a person. And the reality is I do actually care who they are as a person. So taking the time to put that real face forward is important. And next week when we train on inviting people, we're going to go through in more depth why that's important. Because as we were demonstrating this at the Eric Worre event in Las Vegas, a phenomenal event, there was a lot of people that were inviting and getting some negative feedback. People were doing things like, why are you texting me? Why are you calling me? And so what my advice is when you're prospecting, before you're even inviting, what's the relationship that you have in place? If they're completely shocked and have no idea why you're even calling them, maybe step back a little bit and establish a relationship again. Keep them on that list, but make it a solid foundation of a network as you build this organization, because that's really what's going to take you far. And if that particular person maybe isn't interested in your business or it doesn't feel for them, if they trust you and they like you, the chances of you getting a referral from them is 100% higher. Okay? And referrals are massive in this business. Hey, it's not for me, but I have a sister-in-law who loves network marketing, and I'm going to pass on your information. Why? Because they like you and they trust you, so they'll hand your name over to someone else that they like and trust. And the last piece with the 4 questions, and it's the most standard, the most basic, and the one we struggle with the most in our household and most others do, is how often are you doing it? Are you sampling 2 people a day? I guarantee you, every person on this call, unless you're a diamond and above, are not. That includes me, because it's that consistent habit that creates diamond and above leaders. So get really real with yourself. Don't beat yourself up over it, but start to track it. Okay? David and I, as of 2015, we have a box on our whiteboard every day. We come home and we put our number in that box. It's kind of like a little competition. Who sampled more people? And some days it's 0, some days it's 7. Okay? But it's a way of tracking it. And tracking it's important because if you're reading Napoleon Hill, which I know all of you are, what you think about and what you focus on and what you track expands. So if you're aware of what it is you're doing, it's going to grow for you in your life. So keep track of how often you're actually sampling and how often you're around new people. Every single person in OrganoGold needs to be in recruitment mode. We sometimes think, hey, I've got a big team. I'm a diamond, I'm a blue diamond, I'm a black diamond. It takes a long time before you need to stop personally recruiting. In fact, I'd almost say you never have to. Holton Buggs still does. And so there's got to be some time in your calendar where you open it up and you go, this night, Tuesday night, I'm out meeting new people outside of my social group, new people outside of my business group. Find a way. And it's also a good way to have balance in your life, because doing something you love to do, painting class, art class, drawing class, whatever it may be, is a great way to meet people and, of course, keep yourself balanced. So pay attention to how often you're sampling and get out of your house, get in your communities, and meet some people, because that is where you're going to find the most success. This is a belly-to-belly, face-to-face business. So you need to be out in the community where you can meet new people. And the last piece that I really want to establish with prospecting, I would say the hardest part of our business, depending on your personality type. I'm a master prospector. Inviting, a little bit harder, because that's when you really have to step into it. But you need to set expectations. So I'm going to finish the call with a little story so that you all understand that you need to set expectations when doing this whole process of building a network, of making a list, building these relationships of know, like, and trust, and handing out a sample of coffee. And I'm going to go back to 3 years ago, around this time, when Vicki Hertz first prospected me and David. It was around September when I first started to spend time with Vicki. I'd go to her house for a coffee. We'd hang out. We'd visit. And she gave me a box of coffee once, which was a real treat because I'd actually been drinking the coffee for a long time with no idea that it was a business. So I took it home and threw it on the counter and didn't say anything to David about it, who was my boyfriend at the time, because I knew he wouldn't think much of it, and went over to Vicki's again and again and again. And every time she'd send me home with some coffee, I bet you she's had 10 evenings with me. Like, would genuinely call her a good friend, hanging out at her house, spending time with her family. And yet, David still wouldn't come over to look at the presentation. And it was not even close to being a done deal. And it took her 3.5, 4 months to build a strong enough relationship with me for me to basically say to David, look, I care about this woman. I trust her. We're going to listen, and you'll be polite no matter what. And so I dragged him along, and he took a look at it. We went home. We did the research. She put us on a call with Steve Martin. We did some more research. She put us on a call with Kevin Shorback. We did some more research, and then we finally decided we're going to move forward with this opportunity. I'm going to ask you, how many of you have shown or mentioned this coffee to a friend once? They didn't really say much about it, or they kind of ignored it, so you crossed them off the list and you moved on. Okay? Now, don't confuse me. I'm not saying chase people and focus in on one person forever and ever and ever. What I'm trying to say is set your expectations. People need time to think and to process and to research this. So if someone is not ready to get started at the first CJM, invite them to another CJM. And we're going to talk about that process of inviting in a lot more detail next week. But what I really want you to understand is that setting expectations of sampling and prospecting is key so that you don't get disappointed. My favorite line that I have heard so many amazing quotes and professional development ideas in the last 3 years, but to date, my favorite line is learn to discipline your disappointment. And that still holds true. When prospecting, sometimes it's going to be a bit disappointing. It's going to take more patience than you at first expected, but I promise you it is so worth it. I'm so glad that Vicki persevered and changed mine and David's life for the better, 100%. She has altered the entire trajectory of my life, and it will be 1,000 times better every day till the day I die because of her perseverance of us. She didn't stalk us, but she did persevere in a genuine manner because she cared about us, and she knew that this business could change our lives on a health and wealth basis. And her belief in that, her belief in support of us, is what makes her an incredibly respected and successful leader in OrganoGold. So good luck this week with your prospecting and your sampling. We're super excited for you. Know that David and I are out in the field with you every single day, getting our own nose, stumbling over our words, and practicing and mastering this as we go along with you. We're excited to see you all next Monday, where we go into our second skill set of inviting. Tomorrow, you can watch for the blog that will be coinciding with these calls to be posted on the Diamond Eagles webpage so that you can read if you are a learner that works from reading better. Kind of a little summary of what we talked about tonight. So we appreciate and respect all of your time. All the best to you, and we'll see you next week.